This is the Sir's Guide to Sudowrite class, and I'm a total pantser. Stacy is my co-presenter, and she's player planter. Okay, you can be a planter.
Yeah, sounds like a plant.
Yep.
And I could make a great plant.
Yes. So I'll start by showing you how I pants with Sudowrite. And quite frankly, the more I use Sudowrite, the more toward pantsing, total pantsing that I go. I used to start and I knew a genre and I used to have either character in mind or a scene in mind or something that I was going to. Now with Sudowrite, I come in with a genre and that's about it. I will start sharing my screen. And I will plop over to, let's start a new project.
Even if that person.
I'm not sure if he was trying to say something to us or he was talking inside his office, so I muted.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but we will see. So I either start out with, like I said, a genre, but today I'm going to let y'all choose the genre. So we can start out with brainstorm, which is one way to do it. And I just clicked on something else. Action adventure. You have anything else besides action adventure?
Paranormal action and adventure.
Mystery thriller. Okay. We can do this.
With a serial killer as the hero.
Okay. We'll see. Let's see we'll see what it does with that. Okay, our serial killer can see ghosts.
Ooh, so like a Dexter serial killer.
Yeah, the serial killer tracks down other serial killers.
Okay.
Creature of the night tracks down supernatural beings. Psychic detective. Yeah, that's too much like vampires. The last one. So let's grab the serial killer chases other serial killers. Let's see what else it comes up with. Okay, I like this one too. Their dark ability used to hunt down other supernatural threats, keeping their own darkness in check. That sounds like it's got some good conflict, right? I want to stay away from cursed immortals. But I think we can take these two and do something with it, right?
I agree.
So if we come back to the main screen, I'm going to turn on Story Bible. And I could do it in fast draft. I could do it with brain dump. We'll just start with brain dump. And I'll copy that and stick it over in here. So we have the two, and we can let it blend together or we can edit it to make it flow better. Okay. Okay, let me move this one up. and take the numbers out. And this, seriously, this is usually how I start a book. I usually know my genre and I keep going for premises until I find something that really works for me. I say, oh, that would be interesting. Let's see what that can do. And so if we come to genre, we have paranormal, action, adventure, thriller. Okay. And we can wait for the style. Yeah, we could put man versus supernatural in there, or man versus man if he's worried about his own darkness, or hitman for ghosts. And there's lots of ways we can go with this story. Okay. So if we say generate synopsis, we'll see what happens. It always, when they do this, it makes me think of the narration of some of the videos. In a world where supernatural abilities have become the norm. Okay, our villain hero is Damien. That's original. So's Lilith. Okay. So sometimes what I like to do, I get this, copy it, and then stick it back in the brainstorm. And then get rid of the synopsis. And then let it regenerate a synopsis. Yes. Is that because you can't hear it? Yeah. We'll regenerate the synopsis, and yes, that is using credits. Oh, it's still in the world. Okay. Oh, okay, so we have the gritty underbelly of New York City. We got all that. So now he gets to Paris. Okay, and I don't, as a pantser, I don't worry too much about the ending, other than most of what I write's romance. So I know they're going to get together eventually. But the how and what happens in the meantime, I don't care about. I'm not worried about that at all. We could rewrite the synopsis if we wanted. Of course, if you have the characters in mind, you can bring them in. If you have characters in mind, but you want to generate the characters and you want to see what the AI does, you can add any information about the characters in the synopsis you want, and it will read that and include that in the character generation. How much more space do we have? Yeah, we have space where we could put characters. And if I were really going through this, Damien Blackwood. Blackwood is always our villain. If I really wanted to use this, I would change that name, both names. Yeah, we still have Lilith. I would change Lilith Thorne. That's another very popular, especially paranormal fantasy theme name for the AI. I would change that. And Nicole has a very nifty plugin to give you ideas about names. So. Okay, so we'll go with that. And so I just generate the characters. And I am really, truly treating Sudowrite like a junior writing partner. Bring me some ideas. Let's see what goes on. And sometimes I will have a back and forth, which in this case I use quick chat for. I don't quite like that idea, but what if we added this into it? And I argue with the AI quite a bit. So I treat it like I used to treat my critique partners. would get together and do plotting sessions and plot a couple of books out. So we'd have some for the next 6 months or something. Okay, so we have Jamie. Piercing gray eyes. Okay, we'll change that shortly. Tracking abilities. Okay. Physical strength, dangerous adversary. All right. He's the architect, INTJ. Has anybody else noticed that most of these are introverts? Most of the characters it generates.
Oh, yeah.
And here we have his backstory. We know why he's like he is, so that's good. We have her on Raven here. She can manipulate shadows, okay? And she's sort of out for revenge. Here, say we have another introvert, another architect, okay? Calculating and ruthless. And that, and her backstory, altered by tragedy, okay? So I guess they both lost loved ones. And here we have Ezekiel Graves. Not sure what his role in the story is. Okay, I think he's one of our villains. Another architect. I don't think I've had a story where they are all the same type. That could be interesting. Could, maybe not. Manipulating. Okay, we have Cassie. Okay. Improvising solutions. Cautious. We finally have a extrovert. Enthusiastic, creative, and sociable. Uh, uh, okay, I'm not sure what part she plays either.
She's probably the plucky sidekick.
She probably is. Okay, we have Arthur.
Only if she's Sagittarius.
Could be. Okay, we have Isabel. So it's given us quite a range of characters. See how many. Then we have Vincent. There's usually events. Okay. O'Malley. Aw, Brand. Okay. Mikhail Petrov. Military service. We have piercing ice blue eyes as opposed to the piercing blue eyes we had before. I dug out one of my books the other day. Now that I'm back in Oregon, I'm back where they are. And I have to retype because my books were all on floppy disks. And as I was retyping some of the scenes to run it through the My Voice project, I realized I had piercing eyes. I had done some things that I really did that, huh? Okay. Okay, so if we let it generate the outline for us, and somebody was talking about outlines in Discord today. I don't pay much attention to the entire outline. I make sure the first couple of chapters are going where I want them to go. And then I get the feel for the story as I get into it. Okay, so we have his dark past. And we have the inciting incident. Now, a lot of times, and I may do it here, I think I will do it here. The AI does what a lot of beginning writers do. they start the story in the wrong place. They have your backstory coming in. So the first chapter is just plain backstory. Well, see, he's hunting and it doesn't. I see him tracking down somebody and it doesn't tell me here that maybe it should. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull chapter 2 and I am going to make it part of chapter 1. And then I think I need to change the numbers here, but I wouldn't swear to it. I know I don't in beats, but I might have to here. But we'll do Act 1 and fix it up and see.
If you don't change them, when it auto links to
It'll
generator, it'll call it the whatever it's listed as.
We will start with this one.
You might need a space between chapter and 2.
Yes, thank you. I didn't see that.
I am an excellent co-host.
That's good. I appreciate that. I need all the help I can get. So with looking at this first, now this is going to be a fairly long chapter, but that's okay. Here we have a shadowy organization. I may want to flesh this out more when we get to the beach. We will see. But for now, I'll let it go with the chapter 1 and see what's going to happen. Right now, I don't have much idea about world building. I guess I can let it generate and see what it gives us. It told us we were in New York, I think. Custom instructions for setting. Okay, there we go. So it's going to tell us about Manhattan. And if I didn't get the feeling he was working for an organization, but if he was, we could flesh out the organization here. But I just want to get to the story, see what it's going to do, and then we can see which way we want to take it. So there are several ways to do this. We can come back up to the top.
Just stop. There. Yeah. And it took a long time to get it okay.
Okay, so we'll add a new chapter 1. What do you mean it's not an outline? What did I mess up here with outline? I don't see anything wrong with it. Oh,
Maybe.
you think it's upset about chapter 4?
If you just added chapter 4, colon, and then nothing.
Yeah, nothing, yeah. But yeah. Come on. Okay, so here we go. That's what it was. It wanted the numbers to be correct, and I can understand that. But as a true pantser, I am going to generate the piece. So far, I have no idea about this story. I'm not invested in this story. I'm just sitting back and telling the AI to tell me a story. Okay, I like this. He's in the middle of a high-speed chase. So it's starting with action. That's good. And we have his focus and determination, his combat skills. And then we have Lilith, because we want to get right in with her too, I think. ruthless nature, brooding, highlight his combat skills, which I think we already did above, which may give us some looping. Okay, they clash. Concept of the forces. So now I'm going to come down here to style. And I'm going to say third person, limited point of view, pretty varied sentence structure. What? Can I say shun telling? Is that Stacy? Aren't you the one that?
Yeah, shun works so much better. Avoid for me.
Okay, so I'll put this here and I'll also repeat it in the header for our chapters. I won't repeat the whole thing, but I'm going to grab some of that. And if I put it in the header here, I use square brackets just because I'm used to that. A square bracket for me in a manuscript says you need to do something here. And of course, if I'm in my final edits, it means you need to take it out of the manuscript and fix what you wanted. I'm going to take out that. But I'm going to say from Damien's perspective. Oh, and I'm also going to say because if I don't, everybody will say something with an adverb attached to it. But for the beginning, I'll just start with that and see. It says it's going to be 2,400 words. I would think with that these beats it would be longer, but we'll see. And then when to generate the chapter, I think balance is probably good for this type of book. Anybody disagree with that? I'll just keep balanced for a bit. We can always rerun it on another one, which is going to be 31,000, almost 32,000 credits. Okay, so if we hit generate, we'll see what it does. We can pause. Woo! I can catch up with it.
Did you mention what kind of dialogue you want?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the balance really needs to know what kind of dialogue you want to put the dialogue you want.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see what it does. Because usually what I do is I run it and see what it's doing that I don't like, and then I use the prompting to fix it. Oh, let's see what we got. We got tires screeching against the asphalt. That's pretty close to the sound of footsteps on whatever. He's got a motorcycle. He's going through New York. Well, he's got a trench coat. Throws around the garbage truck. We have some sensory details here. We have our supernatural criminal. Pedestrian. So it puts us in the scene. He's deliberate. Now it's raining. Okay. And if we tell it to continue, we'll see what happens. But this is how I do it. I start with a premise like this and flesh it out. I might go back and change some things about the characters if I don't like them. But I let the AI begin the story and tell me what it's doing first, and then change it to what I want it later. But that for the people who say that Sudowrite does not do pantsing, have you seen any less plotting than I've done just now? Because there's not, I came in with absolutely no ideas at all. You guys did the genre. I would do, if it were mine, I'd do the genre. I know what book I'm going to write. But other than that, I don't. Okay, here we have the leather boots hitting the rooftop with a heavy thud. I'm hoping the my voice thing can get rid of some of that. Okay, it set a dark flag in the earlier beat, and it's calling his trench coat a dark flag here. So we've got some word repetition. Okay, so now we have the figure, we have the woman coming in. Mistress of Shadows, okay. I'd have to look and see if they put that in the character box or made it up here. And that's okay. She can be the
Damien the architect of vengeance earlier.
Okay.
Trauma level 10.
Yeah, that works. I can live with that. Okay, we don't have piercing right here, so that's good. Usually after the first time it mentions piercing eyes, then I go into the character description and get rid of the word piercing. They can pierce once, but they can't pierce more than that. Oh. We have this action scene. Now you can always use auto write, guided write, whatever you want to do with this further. And I did not tell it in my header to end on a cliffhanger, and I like to do that because I want to keep the reader involved in reading from one chapter to the next. Ooh, glittered with malice. I like that. I don't think it's cliche. It could be. Okay, so they're using their powers in their battle or whatever. Tendrils of what? I don't know. Okay, this is a little flowery. And we haven't really had dialogue yet, Manal, so I can't tell you what it's going to do.
Yeah, I know. For the before, there's no dialogue at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Dance of Death, definitely flowery. Usually balanced isn't this flowery, but I could take care of that in the style. I did say gritty in the style, but yeah. And this is a purely action scene, but oh, we got chill racing down the spine. Premonition. Okay. Could it kill her off? I thought she was going to be a important character. Oh, we got determination. Now, what I might do after this is try generating with another model and see what. Mona, you can't really tell it. You can try, but some people use JSON to say avoid these words. I usually just clean it up in the edits, do a search for certain words or certain things. When you get your prompting down, there are ways to avoid some of it, but there's no way to avoid a lot of it. And I don't want to run into Stacy's time. You see how this is basically, seriously, how I really start a book. And like I said, I probably would take this and run it through another model. In fact, I really would like to run this through my tuned model and see if would clean it up better. And I will probably do that later. But so that's how to do pure pantsing with Sudowrite. Anybody have any questions about that? Was it what you thought it would be? Is it different than what you thought it would be?
Chat is clear.
Is there anybody here that thinks Sudowrite won't do pantsing?
What did you put in the header again?
Okay. It's just a riff on my usual header.
Oh, that's why I did the Sean dialogue tag.
I said tags, not dialogue.
It says Sean dialogue tags.
Yeah. I used the brainstorm of something else is what I used. I think they all get you to the same place. You also could use Quick Chat. And I do that. I do Control K to get into Quick Chat and let it come up with some ideas. We could look at these, and in the chat, you can say, let's see. I like one of them, but why don't we change this and that and the other about it? And you can go back and forth and have a conversation with it. And they promised us today that they made some changes. And let's see what we can change on this. Okay, so if we have a question about it, not because I thought that was interesting, but just because it was there. So then I can go back over this and I can read it, and I can make changes to it. I can ask for changes. I can do whatever. And they told us now I have the first one, so it didn't totally get rid of my second chat when I went to my first chat when I went to the second one. So I can cut and paste any of this now.
We now have chat session history.
Which is super.
Agreed. But if you close out of chat, you will lose.
It's gone.
But while you have chat open and you're talking back and forth, you can see that history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a really good premise the other day, and it went away before I could grab it. I was really upset about that. So anyway, that's a couple of ways to do brainstorming within Sudowrite. And remember, if you're chatting with the 3.5, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't use credits to do that. If you move it to the high quality, then it will use credits, but right now it doesn't. If you go with 3.5, and 3.5 plots pretty well for me. In fact, back in the day, I got some good pros out of it. We've gotten spoiled as the models progress. Any questions? I will turn it over to Miss Stacy so she can show you how her planter works.
As soon as I figure out which screen I want to share.
Okay.
There's so many. I've only got 3 monitors. It's really not that many.
You're ahead of me. I only have 2. My husband's got 5 in the other room.
Ugh, I would love to have 5.
I thought my ex-husband was in NASA room, but you guys are beating him flat.
Do you like the curved, Chris? Oh, I haven't tried that. I don't know.
No idea how to view chat while I'm sharing my screen.
I can watch chat for you. I put chat up on another screen.
That's neat.
I was working on my laptop screen and my big external screen, I had chat going.
Welcome in the world of teaching, Stacy. What is it?
It's a terrifying world. I don't know that I love it so far.
That's why we have cook. You can check the chat for us.
Now, we're trying to talk Stacy into becoming a teacher. So y'all help us.
Okay, everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, usually when I start with a story, maybe it's a partial scene. Maybe it's the title of a book or a series. Maybe it's just a small kind of synopsis. Maybe it's the character themselves. Who can know? Whatever I have, I will bring in. So this is just a tiny little, really what, 2-line synopsis.
Hey, can you get your words bigger, please? We have a hard time to read your screen.
I can definitely do that.
Yep, that's great. Thanks.
Ah, there you go.
So from here, I could either go to Quick Chat. I could put this in Brain Dump and run it through Synopsis, and then put that back in a Brain Dump and run it through Synopsis, like Miss Lynn did. Or I could do one of these very great many plugins that I have collected. This is my hoard of plugins. Aren't they pretty?
Yes, they are.
This one I think we'll do Quick Chat. What do we want to do? Valuable artifacts, rare technology, secrets. Oh, now it's going to do the thing that Nicole was complaining about where it just asks questions.
Oh,
Rude.
that's not good.
There we go. Much better. Too much thought. In a world where advanced technology reigns supreme, a daring crew of 3 thieves traversed the cosmos, embarking on high-risk heights to steal the most coveted tech from different planets and moons. Excellent. So we're going to pretend that I've read through all of this and I have edited heavily and tweaked it to where I want it. Here for genre, I use a fairly specific format for my genre box. And as soon as I find it, I will put it in there. I found it. So this is how I do mine. Genre, which ended up being subgenre, and tiny niche genre, because why not? Themes, tropes, tone and mood, and then my usual. Something else that I found that's doing pretty well is adding character archetypes in there. So for this one, obviously sci-fi. I'm not going to put romance because that gives us a lot of cliches. So for this one, I'll do dark romanticism. Now, doing romanticism or some variation therein, you could do romantasy. It seems to have a lot less of those really overdone, cheesy romance cliches. A tip I got from our beloved Miss Nicole. And then for this one, I'll probably do action adventure. So themes. For this, yeah, I would probably come back to quick chat. Let's see.
Lynn has some themes and tropes in the. Oh no, never mind. I'll be quiet.
Still visible?
Yes.
Trust, betrayal, redemption, complexities of relationships, inner demons, past traumas, forbidden love, potentially, good and evil. Okay, so that gives us some good stuff to work. Now, if I wanted these characters to stay morally gray, that is not a part of their character arc within this story, I would not put redemption, because then it's going to try to just all the time make the characters better people. Oh, they feel bad about this thing they stole and this wrong they did. If I didn't want them to feel bad about these things, I would not put redemption. Instead, I would put but spelled correctly. Tropes. Let's see. My favorite, as do we all, I'm sure. For this section of the creative process, I would put in all of the things I want cooked into the story. Meet cute, falling in love, forced proximity, happily ever after, advanced technology, because that's what we're stealing. I would say probably alien hero, or you could even do monster hero. And then my usuals, believable and or authentic characters. You could do angst, vulnerable heroine, language barrier, morally gray anti-hero, whatever you're into. Put the good stuff here. And don't pretend like it's not good stuff. Everybody loves tropes, okay? They're magical. Now, when I start chapter 1, I'm going to remove anything that doesn't apply to chapter 1. So happily ever after. No, not in chapter 1. No, we don't. Forced proximity? Maybe not. vulnerable heroine? Could be. Depends on how we open. Beauty and the Beast is another really good one that the AI seems to pick up on really well. But I obviously, again, would not have that in the first chapter. So tropes is something I'm going to change on a scene by scene and or chapter by chapter basis. Same with themes. If there's no betrayal in chapter 1, I'm taking that out. But in this part of the process, when we're doing the brain dump and synopsis, blah, 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 I'm going to put everything I want in there. Tone and mood, that again changes per scene. Action-packed, steamy, sexual tension, suspenseful, dangerous, comforting. Art/comfort is a very good one, although it will bring in some cliches, but it's fine. We have delete buttons. You can do courage, fearful, survival. The list goes on and on. And again, I would change that when I get to chapter 1. I would change it and I would keep changing it. Same with character archetypes as the characters grow and evolve over the course of the story. For the style box, I have a very specific style box that stays the same. I know Miss Lynn's way makes a lot of sense. To see what that particular prose model gives you and then tweak it as you need to. I am too controlling for that. So I have exactly what I want, how I want it. So I have intimate, close, third person, limited POV, past tense, variable pacing. Sometimes I'll change this to dynamic pacing if I feel like variable isn't giving me those punchy one-line paragraphs that I like sometimes. Immersive, deeply personal character development, nuanced relationships, always, especially with romance. Again, the AI is working off of cliches. If you put romance, romanticism, anything, anywhere, if it thinks that there's going to be a budding romance between characters, it's probably going to give you some cheesiness. Now, I love cheese too. Cheese sticks, I'm here for it. Cheese dip, all day. In my books, no thank you. So, relationships. Yeah.
Post your style into the chat. They want to have a cut to it.
I can do that.
Already done.
You're very good at this.
I'm blessed.
She is. She's
Oh,
a
yeah.
super co-host.
She's pretty spectacular. And the accent, it just makes everything better. So for this, I always do, I like a really deep perspective. I've been told that my writing is very similar to first person, but with pronouns. I want to feel like I'm wearing the character like a skin suit, but less weird, less Buffalo Bill, if you will, but still really close. So I put experiential descriptions. I don't want just sensory descriptions of what something smells like down the road. I want to know what my character is smelling right then. What are they feeling right then? Are they cold? I don't want to know if the air is cold. I want to know if they're cold. So intimate, close, limited. I tried other variations, but this, including limited, really seems to help. Even if you add these other things to bring it a little closer, a little tighter, keeping limited has given me better results. So dynamic sentence structure, again, I like those punchy one-line paragraphs because it adds emphasis. Introspective, inner monologues. Now I haven't had the AI give me actual, like, in italics, inner thoughts, but putting inner monologues brings us, in my experience, brings the perspective closer. It gets us into the character's inner world.
It's 6 o'clock.
That was me. I forgot to turn my robot off. Now you guys know that it's 6 o'clock here.
Ah.
Needed to know that.
Sudowrite will not write in italics. So that's one thing you may want to do when you edit is go back and put in the inner dialogue in italics.
I do. And I do that heavily. I add in inner dialogue. I edit heavily, even with as specific as the style box is and as specific as every other part of my process is. I still edit the prose heavily because we're controlling. So, extremely close narrative perspective. This particular phrasing right here is something that I also use as a focus in those square brackets in front of, now I've just been doing it in front of beat 1, but could probably use it as a beats header. So I would take, just to show you what I mean. That's your first beat. You could even add and. So then, now I've doubled it up and it should, and again, in my experience, has helped so much with tightening up and making that point of view deeper. Just in case it's helpful. I have not tried instructing in the beats to use any kind of special formatting for internal dialogue or internal thoughts, but that's a good idea.
Have you tried that, Cece?
Yes, ma'am. We had some luck with that.
Oh, good.
I know they're always playing with the system, so that doesn't mean that still is something that you can do, but it was something.
Because it worked yesterday.
It was something that worked for us for a spell, so maybe it's worth trying again sometime.
It works. It works for me. I don't even have to tell it. It's doing the dialogue with the little apostrophe, and when the character is thinking, it's giving me that little star.
Nice. Well, that's good to know. Can we also just appreciate that Quick Chat has not closed out despite me clicking all over the place in Storybible?
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm pretty heckin' pleased about that right now. So because I haven't clicked in the actual prose box, he's sticking around and I'm here for it. Good job, Quick Chat. Okay, conversational, informal, character-driven narrative. Now, I would also, as a beats header, have what kind of dialogue I'm wanting. For example, heavy, naturalistic dialogue, or heavy conversational dialogue with an I dialect. If I want it to have a character that sounds like they're saying things in almost a Southern accent or with a lazy mouth feel, then I would use I dialect. And it gives them that killing time instead of killing it. From here, I would expand more on this. I would edit it. I would add in the thoughts and ideas and storylines and plot lines and whatever else that this sparks in me. Once I have brain dump fully fleshed out exactly how I want it, I would go into generate synopsis. Ooh, we have a Zara and a Torek, Evra, Kaylin. I like these names. Okay, from there, I would take my synopsis. Okay, sorry, Quick Chat, you have to go away. You did real good. I would take my synopsis into a doc so that I could run plugins on it. Now, for that, you can use a chapter expander, or this one's one of my favorites, Flesh Out the Chapter. It's by Lauren Kay. He is a magical little plugin maker. I would use a chapter expander to flesh out the synopsis, because what is a synopsis other than a whole book chapter summary, if you think about it? After that, I would probably come down here to do focus drivers and guardrails. And I would use those things that it gives me after editing it, because we edit everything. I would use those focuses, drivers, and guardrails as I'd put them in square brackets in the individual chapter summaries in the outline. I haven't used that in this process, but you could. There's also rewrite with instructions. So what you can do if you feel like it's the synopsis is just doesn't have enough characterization, it's not focused enough. If you're doing a romance, it's not focused enough on the romance, because in a romance, that is your plot. And then the other things that happen, those are your secondary plots. So if it doesn't have enough zhuzh, you can pull up a rewrite, any of them really, and ask it, rewrite this synopsis or summary, whatever you want to call it, with more focus on the relationship building, more focus on the sexual tension, more focus on whatever it is you feel like you're missing. And then you can take the parts of that you're loving and incorporate it in. I think I also have another tangent. If you feel like your synopsis is just too bland to the point and it's not giving you enough meat to work off of, because we're up here in a doc, there's no word limit. You can, unlike the synopsis box down here where it's still 800 words. Because we're up here, you can make this as chunky as you want. Doing a slow it down and drag it out plugin to really put some meat on that would be amazing. I could have sworn I had a synopsis in your voice.
Might be faster to go in the plugin and search for it.
Maybe. Could be. Nope, there it is. Characterize synopsis, and then synopsis in your voice. These two are nice. So this one adds in more specific character detail. And then this one looks heavily at your style box and rewrites the synopsis to sound like you. And that's something that all of the teachers have been saying since I joined Sudowrite, which is the language you put in to all the boxes matters. So basically baking in your style, your author voice into every box makes a huge difference. Talking how you would talk, writing how you would write the book in brain dump, in synopsis, and in style. People have had great results with that. In the outline, in those summaries, if one of your characters, so like in a different book of mine, the character has that eye dialect I was telling you about. He uses a lot of slang and profanity. In his chapter summaries, I write them to sound like him. and it makes a huge difference. World building, I would also create that as I'm going. I don't usually know everything. And by usually, never. I never know everything about my book. It's always, so this is what I would call like this, the really intense story Bible area is the characters in the world building. They're always growing. They're always changing. I'm always adding to or tweaking as I learn things, as the story is telling me things. So I would be adding cards. I would be changing cards, editing them. Characters I edit all the time, because if a character is stagnant, then that's a boring story. So don't be afraid to come in here and tweak these cards. I do it all the time. Also, I understand the temptation is to go as heavily detailed in your characters and your world building cards as possible. I would not do that. I would have another document up here for my characters and another one for world building. And in those, I would go as detailed as I wanted. But in the actual cards, I would keep it to only the necessary stuff. So almost like keywords. So the Myers-Briggs personality types, amazing, because in those 4 little letters, it's summing up a page of information. So keep your summaries there pretty succinct. And that's how I would start with my planting. Did I miss anything? Do we have questions?
I don't see any questions in the chat box, but we were talking about reordering plugins. Does everybody know how to do that? Or do you want to see a demonstration of that?
I've reordered my plugins 3 times, I think, just because it's fun. So when you click your little drop down, reorder this menu, the new plugins you add are at the bottom now. So this is why is my outline working. I would bring this up into my outline section. That is not a stair step. Perfect. Yes, very pretty.
So you understand how she did that, Mona? Good, good.
And then when you're done, X. And it's there and it's pretty. Any other questions? We didn't generate any of this stuff, which is probably fine. The outline, honestly, I would just use a plugin. I have not had great luck with the built-in outline generator, which is probably a me thing, but the plugins they work so well. So I just stick with them. Where is it? This is one I made, so I'm partial to it because I made it. But it also does good. So I would probably start with this one, and I would actually use this on that extended chunky synopsis that I would keep in a doc. And after editing it and adding in the scenes that I can see and roughing in, again, what I can see of the story, I would highlight all of that and run this plugin. And then after the first chapter, I would probably mostly ignore the outline that I spent 2 days working on, because that's the lives of a pantser. The end. All done.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about pantsing or plantsing or Sudowrite in general? You can unmute and talk if you want, or you write in the chat, whatever you want. And I do have to tell you that while Stacy was talking, I generated some of the text of my story with the My Voice plugin. And except for the bugs that we know, My Voice still has. It's not ready for prime time, but the text is much better. Oh, absolutely, Harper. That's basically what I'm doing. I just don't look at the other chapters. And so I would generate the first chapter and then decide if I like the outlines version of the next chapter or change it or whatever. So yeah, I never work ahead.
No, and that's
I love to have a whole plan. If I can, I love to have it all outlined. But sometimes when I just need a break or I'm working on like a passion project, I'll just do one chapter at a time. So it's not so stressful to try to know everything ahead of time. So
Yeah.
I do it both ways. And I definitely fall in the middle of cancer and water for sure. So many different ways to use pseudo.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think anybody is all one way or all the other way. And even with different stories, you're going to have different methods of writing. Some stories you're going to know more about, and some you're not.
Agreed. And in my planter process, when I get to that middle bit where I can see the beginning, maybe a couple scenes in the middle. I know the things that should happen, and I know that it's going to have a happily ever after, unless it's an ongoing series. And then it'll be an HFN, happily for now. But when it gets to that meaty bit in the middle, or a specific scene, or a transition from, okay, I just finished chapter 12. What happens in chapter 13? I don't know. So I would write in a big silo doc with all of my current book in one document, like Google Docs, where it's all just one chunky business. And then I would use the auto write or the guided write with one of the models capable of viewing or reading pretty far back, and then just see what it gives me.
Are there any other questions for the recording? If not, I'll turn it off and then we can do questions you may not want to ask on the recording. Okay? More questions? Thank you all for coming to this Pantser Planter session. And I hope you got something out of it. And if you come up with anything questions that you may have afterward, we're both in the Discord and you can find us there.